Vhagar. Vhagar is not merely a dragon. She is history walking on 4 legs. She is the only surviving dragon from the era of Aegon the Conqueror's conquest. She was first ridden by Visenya Targaryen and took part in the burning and unification of the Seven Kingdoms more than a century before the events of the series. Throughout her life, she carried legendary riders, from Visenya to the brave Balon, to Laena Velaryon, and finally to the one-eyed prince Aemond Targaryen. By the time of the Dance of the Dragons, Vhagar's size defied imagination. She was as large as a small castle, capable of swallowing an entire horse in the blink of an eye, or devouring a smaller dragon and its rider in a single bite. Her wings blotted out the sun, and when they beat, they created genuine storms capable of uprooting trees. Her flames were so vast in scale that they could reduce entire forests to ash within moments. Vhagar's immense danger does not stem solely from her legendary size, but from the fact that she had lived through nearly every war in Westeros. She bore the scars of countless battles. She knew how to fight and knew precisely when to strike. Yes, she was slow because of her age and immense bulk, but she had no need for speed. Vhagar embodied overwhelming force that simply could not be stopped. A single strike of her tail or one bite from jaws lined with sword-like teeth meant the end of any opposing dragon, no matter how swift or courageous. Aemond Targaryen understood this well when he claimed her. He had not acquired a dragon, but a weapon of mass destruction capable of tipping the balance of any war. Caraxes, known as the Bloodworm, mount of the rogue prince Daemon Targaryen. Physically, Caraxes resembled no other dragon. His scales were blood red, his neck unnaturally long and serpent-like, and his lean, elongated body featured additional wing membranes that allowed him to maneuver through the skies in unpredictable ways. His cry was unlike the roar of ordinary dragons. Instead, he emitted a shrill, piercing scream that tore through the ears like an air raid siren heralding death itself. Why rank him second despite the existence of larger dragons? The answer lies in experience and savagery. Before Daemon, Caraxes served Prince Aemond Targaryen and fought in brutal wars alongside him. Under Daemon, he endured years of bloody conflict in the Stepstones. Caraxes was perhaps the most battle-hardened dragon alive, the one most accustomed to the smell of blood and ash. Beyond that, the bond between Daemon and Caraxes was terrifying. Both were unpredictable, both relished battle, and both were willing to descend into madness to achieve victory. With his long neck, Caraxes struck like a venomous serpent, capable of twisting and biting enemies from impossible angles beyond the reach of other dragons. Caraxes was not merely a dragon, he was a killing machine built for war. Vermithor. When speaking of Vermithor, we speak of the legacy of King Jaehaerys the Conciliator, the greatest of the Targaryen kings. Vermithor was an enormous dragon with dark bronze scales and sandy brown wings. After King Jaehaerys' death, Vermithor remained riderless for decades, dwelling in the depths of Dragonmoat, where he continued to grow in darkness until he became the second largest living dragon in the world, surpassed only by Vhagar. Vermithor's danger lay in sheer brute force. He was a flying tank. His colossal size made him nearly unstoppable by ordinary dragons. Combined with his immense age, nearly a century old, his hide had become as thick as heavy armor, extraordinarily difficult to pierce or wound. His flames were not merely fire, they were molten furnaces capable of melting stone and metal within seconds. Despite once belonging to the king who brought peace, the title Bronze Fury was no accident. Vermithor was an angry, violent dragon who accepted no master lightly. During the sowing of the seeds and the attempts to claim riderless dragons, Vermithor proved that anyone seeking to ride him needed a heart of iron and courage bordering on insanity. Once this bronze mountain entered the battlefield, the balance of power shifted instantly. Meleys. Meleys was a deadly work of art. Her scales were a deep crimson red, her wing membranes shone with brilliant pink hues, and sharp copper horns crowned her head like a queen's diadem of spears. Before Rhaenys claimed her, Meleys had belonged to Princess Alyssa Targaryen, granting her a long and distinguished history. Here we find a deadly combination: experience, maturity, and above all, speed. In her youth, Meleys was regarded as the fastest dragon in all Westeros, capable of outpacing younger and smaller dragons alike. Though age had made her somewhat slower and more lethargic, once provoked, she unleashed her power with terrifying intensity. In battle, Meleys' danger came from the perfect harmony between dragon and rider after decades together. She possessed jaws powerful enough to crush medium-sized dragons and speed that allowed her to strike and retreat before larger opponents could respond. Her power lay not only in her flames but in her body itself, used as a living missile hurled toward enemies at devastating speed. Sheepstealer. Sheepstealer was one of the 3 wild dragons that lived upon Dragonstone's Dragonmont. Unlike the vibrant colors of noble dragons, his scales were earthy brown, making him appear as though he were a fragment of the mountain itself. What earned Sheepstealer such a high place on this list was his primal ferocity. Unlike dragons raised in the dragon pit and accustomed to chains and human presence, Sheepstealer spent decades as a free predator, hunting livestock from local farmers, hence his name. He learned how to survive, how to fight through instinct alone, and he was notoriously aggressive toward any human who approached him. He was an old dragon dating back to the reign of King Jaehaerys, meaning he had grown into a formidable beast capable of devouring smaller dragons with ease. Taming a creature of such size and wild nature was considered nearly impossible. He did not submit easily to Valyrian commands. He obeyed instinct. Whoever managed to claim him gained a beast that knew no retreat, a dragon that fought with the desperation and savagery of a cornered predator. Dreamfyre. Mount of Queen Helaena Targaryen. Dreamfyre possessed pale blue scales marked with silver patterns, and was among the oldest living dragons during the Dance of the Dragons. She was born during the reign of King Aenys I, and her first rider was Princess Rhaena Targaryen. Why include Dreamfyre despite her absence from major battles? The answer lies in a fundamental truth. Dragons never stop growing as long as they live. Thanks to her great age, Dreamfyre had become an enormous dragon, and one of the largest creatures housed in King's Landing. Her immense size granted her terrifying destructive potential. Had she been deployed in war, she would have possessed the power to annihilate entire armies. Yet Dreamfyre's significance also carries a legendary dimension. A popular theory suggests that Dreamfyre was the mother of Daenerys Targaryen's 3 dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion. Although Helena's peaceful nature kept her from using Dreamfyre in war, the mere existence of a dragon of such age, size, and lineage made her a dormant force of unimaginable power. Sunfyre, the golden dragon of King Aegon II Targaryen. When discussing danger, one might assume beauty has little to do with power, yet Sunfyre shattered that assumption entirely. His shining golden scales and pale pink wings made him resemble a second sun blazing across the heavens. Behind that legendary beauty, however, lurked a beast with extraordinary resilience and destructive capability. Sunfyre was far more than a royal ornament. He was a warrior dragon in every sense of the word. The bond between Sunfyre and Aegon II was among the strongest ever recorded between dragon and rider. His danger did not stem from his size, which was relatively modest compared to the giants, but from his ferocity and astonishing ability to survive grievous wounds and continue fighting for his rider. Sunfyre taught an important lesson: never be deceived by appearances, for beautiful gold can still melt iron. Seasmoke possessed pale silver-gray scales that allowed him to blend seamlessly with clouds and battlefield smoke. Early in the series, he fought under the command of Laena Velaryon and demonstrated formidable effectiveness during the Stepstones campaign. What made Seasmoke dangerous was not overwhelming size, but exceptional agility. If dragons such as Vhagar represented heavy bombers, then Seasmoke was a fighter jet. He could maneuver sharply, turn quickly, and evade attacks from larger and slower dragons with remarkable ease. In aerial combat, size is not everything. Speed often determines the difference between life and death. Seasmoke possessed a fierce fighting spirit, and when he was later claimed by Adam of Hull, he proved once again that a younger dragon with a brave and determined rider could alter the course of entire wars. Seasmoke's danger lay in striking before his enemy even realized he was there, attacking swiftly and disappearing back into the smoke. In conclusion, wars are not decided by strength alone. They are shaped by strategy, fortune, and at times, sacrifice. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more cinematic analysis. See you in the next one!